Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Daryl Show Your Work. In this episode, I will be covering using Burp Suite to both execute local file inclusion attacks and remote code execution. However, to give a disclaimer about the remote code execution portion of this lab is that I will get us up to a certain portion on that, but unfortunately, my lab is not behaving well, and it does is not necessarily doing what I need it to do once we get up to that portion. So I still wanted to cover the remote code execution, not leave it out the video because I think it's still an important subject matter, and I believe I could cover enough base for everyone watching to have a fundamental understanding of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. All right, so like always, I give my disclaimer here. Anytime we do any type of red teaming activity, this is for educational and ethical purposes only. I am not encouraging any sort of malicious actions and any taken as a result of watching these videos. I do not claim personal responsibility for. All right, so with that said, let us get started. All right, though. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to adjust our our browser settings here because we will be interacting with that as far as using a mock site to accomplish some of the things that we're looking to accomplish. So first, I'm going to go to these three bars right here on the upper right of my browser. I'm going to scroll down to settings. All right, then I'm going to scroll all the way down and under network settings, go into settings, and I'm going to choose under the configure proxy access to the internet. I'm going to go to the manual proxy configuration, and under HTTP proxy, I'm going to put our loopback address here, which is 127.0.0.1. And then as far as the ports we'll be utilizing, I'm just going to say 8080. All right, so I'm going to hit OK with that. All right, so before we navigate to the site that we're going to be interacting with, in fact, let me just bring that tab over here. Okay. I'm going to show you what Burp Suite looks like. All right, so pivoting to Burp Suite here, we're going to be really working a lot with this specific area work suite called the Burp Suite, excuse me, called the Interceptor, and that's going to basically pull once I turn it on, it's going to pull the traffic that we're causing by certain actions on the website, and it's going to pull it into Burp Suite, and it's going to allow us to modify that traffic before sending those packets off to their destination. So this would be typically like a tool where an attacker or ethical hacker could do to conduct a man-in-the-middle attack, to try to mess with network traffic or to try to mess with like credentials and things like that to advance some sort of malicious action. And to give I guess a very high level explanation of what Burp Suite is, again, it's used for security testing of web applications and APIs, allowing either security professionals or malicious actors to identify vulnerabilities such as SQL injection and cross-site scripting attacks. In this case, we'll be conducting local file inclusions and remote code execution. So think of this as a web penetration testing tool. All right, now let's navigate to the website that we'll be interacting with. So I'm going to go to http colon slash slash gila dot ii slash, and I'm going to take us to just the front page of it. All right, so this is the welcome page, and then we need to log in. All right, so then I'm going to move up a directory here and take us into the admin page, and that's where we're going to log in at. All right. So to log in, our credentials are, let's see, what did I set them to? Is going to be admin at gila.ii. Oops. Right. And then our password is going to be admin. All right. So just making sure I wrote everything correctly here. All right. We should be good to go. All right. Now that we're here on the in the main page, I'm going to go to post. And so this is kind of like our mock message form. So I'm going to try to post a new message here, and we're going to start to generate some traffic to intercept here in the interceptor. So I'm going to go click on new. All right, and I'm just going to just write a mock message here. So I'm going to just say test message test, and I'm going to say the typical hello world. All right, so I'm going to create this. Okay, so now before we do anything else, now it's time for us to set up our interceptor. All right, so the interceptor is on. So we're going to delete this, start to delete this post, and that's going to generate some traffic for the interceptor to to uh to catch it for us to try to manipulate. So I'm gonna hit delete. All right, so now we can see the traffic here generating here. So to explain to you what's going on and what we're going to be doing. So when a user requests that a file be deleted, the server will first read the file and send its contents back to a web response. All right, by using Burp Suite to manipulate the deletion request, we can read the contents of many files on a web server. In the post method, notice the T equals right here. So where it says right here, where it says post, and remember that's a method. All right, and then it has T equals post. All right, by editing what follows it, we can conduct a local file inclusion attack. By changing what T is equal to, we can read almost any file on the server. All right, so I'm going to show you exactly what I mean when I say that. All right. So first, before we do anything, let's once we generate the traffic here, we're going to right click where the raw data is, and I'm going to click send to repeater. All right. So I'm going to then go to where up here to where repeater is now turned orange. It turned orange as soon as it got the information. I'm going to click on that, and we're in the repeater. All right. So I just want to manipulate this portion of our output. All right. So let's say that I'm an attacker and I wanted to enumerate the users on a system or in a network. All right. So what I would do is I would replace the equal post with equal /Etsy /PSSWD, and that's going to send me into the local directory where the all the users UIDs and everything is located. So when I click this send button up here, instead of it posting to delete this file, oh, hold on, I'm sorry, not sure what happened there. Let's go back. Okay. Instead of it going back here to delete this file, it's going to output some information that we're not supposed to see. So I'm gonna hit send, and here you go. So here are all the users that are on the local directory. All right, so that is an example of how we can use Burp Suite to conduct a local file inclusion uh, attack. All right, so if I'm an attacker or a penetration tester, then what I want to do with this output here, I want to save it. So I'm going to copy to file. All right, then we're going to name this file. We're going to save it to our in our home directory. I'm gonna name it pass WD, just like the directory we pulled it from. All right. Okay, so now to move on to the remote inclusion portion of this. Again, I'm gonna get us to a certain point, but again, my lab is not is behaving funny, and I can only get us to a certain point. Um, um, with this remote code execution. But again, I'm going to show us as much as I can show us, and then you should be able to get the basic gist of how this works. So first, before I move any further, I need to turn off the interceptor here. Make sure that's off. All right, and when I did, you can see now that the file has been deleted. Those packets have been released to do the initial action that we asked it to do. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move us into the media directory. All right. So here we're gonna play with a shell script here. We're gonna try to upload a shell script to this particular portion of the website. So how this is supposed to work is that we're going to copy a shell script that we have on our local directory into our home directory and manipulate its content to where we can upload it here to the site and execute it remotely. All right, so I'm going to get us up to the point to where we configure the file and where we upload it, and that's about as far as I can get us. But I'll explain to you again what's going on every step of the way, so there's a basic understanding of what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we need to go into our terminal here. All right. So I am going to copy over it's a PHP um, based reverse shell script. So I'm going to copy that over into our home directory. All right. So it is located in user share web shells PHP. Then I want to specify the file, which is PHP dash reverse shell PHP. All right. All right. Didn't like something I wrote there. Let me check my syntax. Share web shells PHP shells. Okay, hold on. Then I need to put my tilde backslash. Let's see that. Okay. All right. That should have it. So let's look in our current directory just to make sure that that file has indeed been copied there. We can see PHP reverse shell .php is in our local directory. All right. So next thing we need to do is we need to modify this file so it reads our particular IP address and a port of our choosing. All right. So when it's executed, it immediately gives us that reverse shell session on the web server. All right, so in order to do that, first we need to find out what our IP address is. So I'm going to do an ifconfig. All right, so scroll up a little bit here. All right, so we can see that our IP address is 192.168.1.100. All right, so we are going to add that to the file where we're supposed to add it. And the next thing that we need to do here is to run an mmap scan on our IP address to see which ports are currently open being used, so we don't unintentionally use those ports and not be able to listen on those ports. All right, so I'm going to say nmap 192.168.1.100. All right, so we're going to run that scan on our IP address. So we know we're using port, we're using port 22, and then we're using port 3389. So we know not to use those two ports because we're going to get a message back saying that those ports are in use. All right, so the next thing we need to do is actually modify the other file. So I'm going to do nano, all right, which is my text editor, and I'm going to say, all right, it was PHP reverse dash shell, all right, dot, and the format is PHP. All right, so I'm going to open that up for us. All right, so anyone that's seen that 100 lines or to read, yeah, don't panic. So we shouldn't have to go that far down to put in our parameters here. Okay, here we are. So this is where we enter in our information. All right, so we're going to put in 192, 168, 100. All right, so that's the IP address that we'll be listening on, which is ours. And then we're going to leave this port alone. We're going to use port 1234, which I believe is the what is it, the NLT port. It's basically the protocol that sets up your system time across a network. Let me double check that for us. Um, no, it's actually, I'm thinking of port 123. So 1234 is actually something called take control. Okay. But anyway, NTP, that's what I was trying to think of. The NTP port, which uses to synchronize time across a network. But this is 1234. So we're going to be using port 1234. And again, I am not sure why all of my stuff just disappeared on me. There we go. Okay. All right. I told you my my lab here wasn't behaving today. Okay. So anyway, let's I'm gonna hit Control X, and yes, to modify, hit enter, save. Okay. So the next thing would be, we would think would be to take this file and upload it here, right where it says browse. So let's see what happens if we try to do that. All right, so I'm in desktop. I'm going to move one directory up to where my file is located, and I'm going to go to all types, all file types, and that should show me my password file that we just used in the local file inclusion attack where we save the output, and also the shell script that we want to work with. All right, so I'm going to upload the shell script. All right, we got a error, and the error is basically telling us it will not upload the file because it's not a media file. All right, but that should be no problem, because all we have to do is just alter the extension of it, and hopefully it will read it as a media file, but the content of what's inside won't change. All right, so I am going to do MV. All right, and then I'm going to tell it take file PHP reverse shell dot PHP. All right, and we want to change its extension to, and I'm gonna write the file name again, but this time with a different extension, with a media extension dot. Okay, now let's make this a JPEG file so it reads it as an image file. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so let's see, can we upload it now? All right, so I'm gonna go back to browse. All right, brings me back into my home directory. So we can see now that the file type has changed. So I'm gonna hit enter. I'm gonna double click, excuse me, and there's our file. So so what's supposed to happen after this? And I mean I can start. I'm gonna start another um open another terminal for us. So we're supposed to use netcat a listener, which is where we would specify. Basically, it's the turn us basically for us to listen to the traffic and to any traffic that we generate. It's supposed to then exit once this shell script executes, it then is supposed to initiate that session, that shell session for us into their web server. Then we can run any type of commands that we want to run on their web server. So I mean I can boot it up for us. Again, I could get us again to a certain point before um, so I could do, what was it, dash NVLP. Then I would tell it that I want it to listen on port 1234, and then hit enter. So it would start listening. All right, that's netcat. All right, and then I would send going back to uh, Firefox. See, I would then start the whole process of actually starting Burp Suite. All right, so I would turn the interceptor back on and um, hit the trash like we're dumping it like we did last time. Hit OK. All right, and it brings us here. We can see that the path is set to assets, that is stored in assets, and then backslash PHP reverse shell dot JPEG. So we would then manipulate this. We would send this to the repeater, and then we would manipulate this to tell exactly what folder we wanted to pull from and execute from, which is where our our where now our JPEG file is. We would execute that from here, and then because of that execution, then Netcat would then launch that web session for us. But again, my lab here is behaving, so this is as far as I can get us. But I'm pretty sure if you've been following along closely up to this point, that you understand the basic gist of it and how you can use a Burp Suite to manipulate traffic to execute both local file inclusion and remote code execution. So that's going to be it for this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.